All right. Okay, welcome to McBoss Capital Channel. We're going to start with the index today. So Nasdaq has a very strong week. You can see on this weekly chart. 2 weeks ago we have this bounce right here. It came probably on the daily chart. It probably came close to the 21-day, but never quite touch it. So if we go there, we should be able to see that. So right here, and again here almost touch it, but not quite. So then it bounced off, and now we're making new high this week. Really strong. There you go. Right, and so that's really good news. So the market continued to move higher, and you can see the weekly range is quite big, right? So it's also extended now further, just like here, like this right here, it extended quite a bit from the 50-day. So then what happened? It went sideways. Now a little bit extended again. Not sure if it's going to digest and go sideways. Hopefully that's the case, or it can maybe, there's two things that we could continue to look for. One is either it can digest again as it keeps making new highs, or two, we're going to get a FOMO action going, and people are just going to start fearing of missing out, and they're going to buy at whatever price they're willing to buy, and that could cause the, in general, the market index to continue to move up even faster pace, right? And usually when you see, markets start to act more, more fear of missing out, that's usually when it's good time to sell, right? So hopefully we'll see what's going to happen. Earnings season is coming up, so that's very important to kind of hone in on your stocks and see what they're doing. We'll talk more about that in a second. And then go to S&P. Same thing. It's a strong week. Again, a little bit extended now from the 50-day. You can see we're starting to come towards a previous resistance area. So most likely I'll hit it and test that. I believe Nasdaq might also have something similar. Let's see. So right here, yeah, almost the same. So that's probably a challenge there. And then there is Dow. So Dow obviously doesn't look as strong. It's still trying to break out this zone right here. I don't know if it did this week. We can go 34.7, 34.5. So it hasn't. So Dow is still trying to make it out this, but Dow is, it's interesting, right? Because Dow also didn't drop as much as the other index, so therefore it didn't have to climb as much. So you can see it's not that far from the previous high at 36.9, at least based on the chart. But like if you look at the same point, which is this point, like the other two index, it's around this level where it might climb to, which is 35.4. But yeah, so in that scenario it looks the same. So that's that. And then we go to Russell, the small caps. Small caps also have a good week. You can see it's starting to move away from the 50-day. This one is probably the weakest index. You can see based on the peak here, this is the point right here. There's still a lot of resistance level. Yeah, and we haven't even come across this one yet. So I hear analysts on CNBC say they like the small cap area because that's the area that have gone up the least this year, and which means they could possibly have more upside potential. Whereas if you move towards the large caps, you start to have more gains, and so they're so people are saying, hey, how much more can those go up, right? So it's just a more like risk versus reward kind of level you have to kind of determine for yourself. My portfolio is more small caps right now. Every time I find Russell goes up, that's when my portfolio goes up more significantly. So, but you know, but again, that doesn't mean the large caps might not continue to go up. So it's just a matter of like, what you think is the risk reward and what's your strategy, I think. But like I said, Russell did go up quite a bit this week. It went up 3%. Yeah, so it's pretty strong. So the other thing to be mindful of is I didn't see any news after hours. Maybe it did. I don't know. I haven't checked it since last night. But there is a rebalance on the Nasdaq 100. I don't know if you heard about it. So it hasn't been announced yet. Basically, it has only happened 2 times in history where it's called a special rebalance whenever large cap stocks made up more than 4.5% of the index. And so that's what's happening. They're gonna rebalance. So some of the stocks, I don't remember which one have the most caps, but you can probably check Nasdaq 100 weightings, right? And you can see again. Okay, this is slick chart. I don't know if this is recent, but let's just take a quick look. So you can see any like I think the okay. So you can see here. The 5 here, Microsoft, Apple, NVDA, and Amazon, are over 4.5%, and so they're gonna get rebalanced. Now, I don't know how much they're gonna drop by, so that's the question. I don't know. So I don't know if this will also cause any sell-off in these stocks here, but anyway, like it could be small, it might not be big. I don't know. They haven't decide, right? So that's the thing what everyone's waiting for, how much they're going to trim by those 4 stocks, and then it's going to get moved to other stocks. And so, or Google also, because Google, when you add those 2 up, it's over 7%. So that's also.
And when is this happening? Is there any?
So they will announce. They're supposed to announce after hours today what the decision is, but they have up till 24th to implement it.
Okay.
Yeah. So by the Monday, I think. So they were supposed to announce it before that, right? So that people can prepare for it. But this has happened 2 times, and I asked ChatGPT about it, and it tells me what happened in the past. 1998 and 2011 was the last 2 times they did it. And when I asked ChatGPT, it says again. I was too lazy to go research my own, but ChatGPT told me that that it was negligible, right? Like they did go down, but not as much. So that's just something to. It's just something to be aware of. There might be a 1 or 2 day sell-off kind of thing, but but at least from a longer term perspective, it doesn't look like it's a big difference. Yeah, because ultimately it's just a matter of like, but at the beginning, yeah, for sure, maybe 1 or 2 days, like I said, there might be some people wanting to sell because of this. So that's something that might happen this coming week or so. Yeah, let's. Do you have any more questions about the index?
No, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, let's go look at the stocks right now. So let's look at Apple. So yeah, you can see Apple has started to pull back. Its relative strength is weakening, so that's not good, right? So yeah, so this is, like I said, this special rebalance could already be impacting some of these stocks. And then let's look at Microsoft. So yeah, see, Microsoft, this was the big thing. Like it fell to the 50-day and then it bounced off, which is exactly what you want to see. And so, yeah, so that's where institutions always come support a favorite stock. So that's really good news. So pretty sure I add some position this week. Yeah, I did. Okay, so I have this arrow here. So I added to this, and it's not quite a flat base yet. Like usually I prefer 5 weeks, but I think it might be still within the base. Anyhow, it's been going sideways. Like I said, bounce off the 50-day. That's really important. Volume came in of the bounce, so that's also important, right? So that's exactly what you want to see. Yeah, so it looks really good to me. So that's Microsoft. Better than Apple for sure. Next one. I know Google also bounced off pretty hard from the 50-day. So you can see here, it actually tested it twice. So this one has slightly lower earnings, so that's why I don't own it, but it's still a very good stock. So you can see it tested the 50-day like twice actually. And then it finally bounced off the second time. So that's also a good stock, right? Obviously all these guys are AI driven right now, so they might have more potential. Let's look at Amazon. So Amazon had, you see this really hard to see, but it has a tight area. Now sometimes tight area doesn't work. It's like almost like digesting, right? It's going sideways, but it's so tight that people, the reason why IBD draw this tight range is because like usually it has to be within 1% on the weekly chart from close to close, and it did that 3 weeks in a row. And the reason why that is significant is because it means that people will not willing to sell, right? To have tight ranges within 1%, that's not easy to do. It shows that people are not willing to sell, and then it just need that time to digest, and then it broke out right here on Thursday, I guess. And the volume wasn't quite there, but but it did break out from this tight range. I took my first position here on Amazon. Okay, so that's Amazon. Let's look at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA also had this tight range here, 4 weeks tight range. So that's even quite significant, right? 3 weeks, and then this one is 4 weeks. So also same thing happening. People just don't want to unload, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And this time it did work. It broke out of this range, and then Friday it did have an ugly reversal, but still it could be just going up too fast to have to digest a little bit. So yeah, but NVIDIA is definitely one of the stronger ones of the Magnificent Seven, because you can see it's just like this pink line here is 21 day. Every time it touched the 21 day, it bounced back pretty quick, like within 1 day, right? And then here it didn't even touch, it only touched the 10 day. Here it came back to 21 day. Here you see it didn't even touch it, like 3-4 days in a row. It couldn't even come down to 21 day. That's amazing. It tests it, but it just never come down to it. So that again, so now it's back to 10 day again. So the run is on. It's continue to run. So it's probably 10 day will be acting as the normal pullback, and 21 day may be the more significant one. And then you can see the 50 day. The one thing I like about this chart is the 50 day is not too far off, which is very interesting, right? So yeah, but it is farther away from 200 days. So at some point it'll probably do climax run, like say a 2-3 week like crazy run, easily like kind of like SMCI kind of thing where you just run crazy. It'll probably do that at some point. So but we right now it's just kind of just moving up nicely still. So NVIDIA is doing well. Next one is, I think Tesla was the last one. Let me see. Yeah, see on the weekly chart, Tesla is still holding up really strong. You can see the trend line is pretty good. And yeah, I mean the last 2 weeks is just so tight. Like 10-day bounce. This one is more 21. Again, it obeys the 10-day pretty good. Bounce support 21. Now it bounced again of 10 day. So it's probably going to ride the 10-day upward, right? So that's kind of where it is. Again, I don't own this one because it has slightly lower earnings, but but the potential is there. So yeah, all the Magnificent Seven. Oh, the last one, Meta. Okay, this is probably the hardest stock right now out of the 7, just because of the threat app, right? So here you can see also form a 3 tight area. Again, tight areas are very hard to form. I know this. Very seldom it forms, and sometimes the stock is so hard that people, even when market, let's say, have bad news or something, it just didn't want to go down along with it. And that's why it's able to sustain that 1% close every week, for 2-3 weeks, right? So that just shows people don't want to sell, and you can see how tight this is, right? And it just this would be a add-on entry if you haven't owned any. Again, Meta is lower earnings for me, so that's why I don't own it. But it's definitely one of the strongest slope, out of the 7. So yeah. So I think nothing has changed. Like we'll talk about it in a second. The CPI data is pretty good, which is below expectation. So 93% on the 26th is still going to rise, but a lot of analysts are now starting to agree this might be the last one. Especially after that inflation number. Unless something changed, but assuming the course is on the right path, then this would be the last one. So 525 to 550. September, same thing, 525 to 50. Okay, so this has changed slightly. November, there is a raise. Interesting. So I'm not sure what prompted this. Pretty sure last week when we saw this, it wasn't like that. So it did. So right now it's projected to rise again in November. December's. This is weird. It's come back down. So I don't know. This is a little bit wonky right now. So I think November, December too far away to even consider this projection. But yeah, I think like July they're gonna raise. September they're gonna pause, assuming the path is correct. Now. The question then becomes, like what you're saying earlier, are we having a soft landing? Or are things going to change drastically where, that someone might think a recession is coming? And so that's probably the next big question. Let's just look at the, but I think for us, traders or investors, what right now in the short term, what we care most about is what is the story. And the story is, at least the market, right, so far has believed that we are on the path to growth again. And that's why, growth stocks starting to move, right? Like if we go to, for example, ARK, right? ARK is, has a lot of growth stocks. You can see it broke out this week. Yeah, and Cathy Wood was on CNBC yesterday talking about this. It broke out, and if you believe in what they do and that the technical picture as well, fundamentals and technical, then this might have a long way to go to come back, right? So so that's good news for our investors, but in general, growth investors, right? If you look at IBD 50, let's look at that also. That's also 50. Growth stocks IBD track. It kind of broke out from a cup with handle pattern. Probably more obvious on the. It's not as strong as ARK, but it did break out. We kind of, look at this line. It broke out here, pulled back, so it's a high cup with handle, and now it's like, making new high now. So, Friday took a little bit of a dip. Again, it's the market went up 4 days in a row. It's normal to have 1 day of digestion. So it's looking good, right? Like all the growth stocks perspective are doing not bad at all right now. It's looking very good. So again, the thing is growth might be back, and so if that's the case, we have a long way to go, right? But again, you have to believe in this story. I think that's the biggest challenge for most people, is they just don't believe. How do you say? They just don't believe that how can the interest rate keep going up and the market still able to, like economy still able to handle it, right? You know, so you can see the GDP is still at 2%, 2.3% as of July 10 for Q2. So, you know, so that's April to June. But obviously, you know, that's pretty good. Like, I mean, 2% is normal for what they're looking for. So that's really good. But that's where, like, people are saying, hey, you know, so this is the story right now. They're saying Q2, because they, you know, remember, right, when we go and start the new year, every analyst was so pessimistic. It's like, oh, they lower their guidance, they lower their earnings, blah, blah, blah. So they're saying, like, Q2, they'll probably beat because they have lowered so much. So they'll beat this quarter. So most companies should do okay. And then next quarter, Q3, is when, you know, that things may be getting worse again because, you know, they're saying, hey, you know, this is going to slow down demand, right? And with the high interest rate and stuff, so people are going to start spending less. But I don't know if you heard about the news where Disney has almost 25% less foot traffic. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
That is significant, right? So that just shows people are not spending their discretionary income as much anymore, or maybe they don't have that discretionary income as much. So that's significant, like over 20% drop in foot traffic year over year. Especially when you think this year is where people should be going to Disney, right? I think personally, I'm going in August, and this year, just this year, like I've heard at least 6 or 7 families going out of my, you know, yeah. So that's a lot, and yet the foot traffic is down. It just shows, hey, you know, something's not right. So I would think the opposite. I was like, oh, you know, so many of my friends are going this year. You would think like their foot traffic would be higher than the previous year, right? And so this really not normal. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't even know what to make of it. So that's weird. Like, so something is happening that's you know, making that happen. So it could be like people are really tight on their discretionary income, and so they're not going to Disney. And obviously for foreigners, going there is different. But whereas locals, they can go there all the time, right? So they're basically, you know, I'm thinking maybe the locals are just not going as much as they used to. Yeah, so that's that. Just trying to see what's on this week's agenda. I don't think there's anything significant this week. Jobless claims, home sales. So really, it's just gonna be all earnings, right? It's just gonna be all earnings. Yeah, lots of earnings. So look at my notes for a second. So we have Monday to Thursday pretty much up for the market, but let's see what happens. So Tuesday, good news. Participation continues to broaden in the market. Oil and gas move a lot at the beginning of the week. So that includes transportation, industrial also move, financial also move. So these 4, right, consumer discretion, these 4 tend to move together. And then we also have software also move. Travel also continue to do well. Home furnishings, again, oil service provider, drillers, machinery firms. On Wednesday, that's when the CPI data came out, which is really, really the long story short is they were better than expected. So this one is interesting. So at Yardeni, he's one of the early bulls, and he told CNBC he see more signs that U.S. economy is shifting from a rolling recession to a rolling expansion. Plus, he believed the market will see a trough in the growth rate of earnings. So he thinks the earnings will be bottoming soon among S&P 500 firms. One reason, he thinks the latest earnings recession is not due to shrinking revenues, but depressed margins. But as companies innovate and employ more technologies to boost efficiency, those margins could in fact expand again. So I don't know what he's referring to in the last part, but one thing I've heard about AI is that AI will boost efficiency, right? So as all of these companies out there trying to make their companies more profitable, right, increase their margins, one way is to use AI, because AI can do a lot more work faster and probably even more effective, right? So I've heard
Right.
most analysts say, hey, it could range anywhere from efficiency from 5% to 30%, as much as 30%. So that over the next, as companies start to roll out AI, they're going to start to improve their margins because of that. So that's one thing I see so far. But again, I don't know if he's referring to any specific sectors here. So again, the oil continued to jump this is on Wednesday, $75 a barrel, 8 update in 10 sessions. NYMEX crude also up, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so copper also rallied on that day. So those two things are also signs of, economy strength, right? We'll look at this chart. Well, we can look at it now. Like Palo Alto, this is why you don't fall more into a stock. See how fast it can drop. I think Microsoft announced news there. They have some security software or something to compete with some of the security firms. So that's why all the security stocks dropped this week. So like Palo Alto is one of them. Zscaler also dropping. You can see that. Let me see, CrowdStrike. See, well, they kind of been dropping this one's kind of been dropping before that news, but Palo Alto is the one that got hit hardest. Yeah, so there was this day right here, the big drop. So you can see how fast it dropped. That's why, and now it's back to almost not quite the buy points. It's coming to 50 days. So if it does fall to 50 days, that's where you want to see if there's a rebound. I missed this stock before, so if it does, rebound, I will probably get my first position. Because this is a really strong uptrend right here, and now it's probably going to build another base around here. Thursday, Nasdaq and S&P hit new highs for 2023. Very strong bullish move. Friday, one of the growth stock, Oprah, tank. So we're gonna take a look at that. That was I think they did secondary offering. I think that's the news. And you can see this big weekly drop here, or 1 day drop really. It just shows, right? Again, you don't fall more into a stock, right? So and then you get punished. This is a 29% drop. Yeah. So this is like a climax run basically, right? It's curved, like it curves up, and when it curves up, generally it will, and you see how far it's from the 50-day. It's pretty far. So that's what happens in the climax run. So this was coming, this is where most people probably, if you have it, most people took their gains here, around that area, and then, but it didn't fail here yet, because that's like the first pullback, big pullback, and then it went for another run here, right? So then probably this is truly a climax run, because you can draw, the easiest way to do climax run is just draw a trend line across the highs, and you can see right here is where the trend line is. So like I said, these two areas are probably where you probably sold. If you didn't sell all of it, again, it bounced back, and then here's where you would sold to, because this is now even more extended. So climax run for me, I find, is the easiest way to sell, at least for my own trading purpose, like, because those are easy to identify, especially like I said, if you just draw the trend line on the upside, it's not hard to figure that out, right? But of course, sometimes you also don't want to sell too early, but this is not early stage. This is like, it's been going on for since for like the last over 6 months now, right? And the run is significant. It's not like small. So this is like going from $6 to now as high as $23, $26. So it's like triple your money easily, depending when you buy it. But I'm just saying in general, it's already run up a few times. from the beginning. So that's a significant run in such a short time, right? So usually they will form another base. Yeah, so that, you know, this one was the story we talked about before, like AI browse on the browser and stuff like that. So kind of trying to I think they're more popular in Europe or something. So this week, these 5 stocks that I pay attention to was report earnings. So we'll go to them right now just to see what's happening. AEHR. I don't own this stock before, but after, like, I know I actually didn't even follow them over after hours because they were apparently moving, fluctuating quite a bit. And I always wanted to get in this stock, but I just never did. And you can see it has a nice uptrend. And if I go to my list here, just go to my top 100 list, you can see AEHR is number 16 right now. Based on October low, it has almost 200% gain. So AEHR, you know, it kind of formed this consolidation after this cup on the side, and then when the earnings news broke out, it basically jumped. Right, so here you go. You can see a very clear breakout right here, and so in the morning, I think it gapped out like 10%. So I bought it at 10% roughly at that time, and then it closed at 18%. So it moves really fast, and that's the thing, because this is not a big cap stock, this is a small cap, so it can move really fast. And so yeah, but yeah, this stock has, like I say, it's in the top 100 for sure. So that's why, you know, I'm sad that I didn't even own it before, but it's good that I have. We'll see how it does right now. So the earnings was really strong, and guidance good, so stock jump. So this is in the chip area. Just jump quickly to the chip sector here, just so we can see. Like right now, you can see same. It looks almost identical, right? It has a small, like the last 3-4 weeks has been consolidating all the chip stocks, most of them. And so then it broke out, right? So you can see this nice clear pattern of breaking out of this small consolidation. And now you can see the trajectory, because this was the trajectory before on the 10-day, and now you can see the 10-day starting to form that trajectory again. So we'll see if it will run more, like, you know, so last time it run pretty good, right? From here, breakout to almost 20% on the index itself. So now it has this pullback, not quite a base, but a pullback, and then now it's moving out again, right? So I feel like this week the techs are showing lots of bullishness, like from my point of view, more than the other sectors, just because they're breaking out. They already consolidate, even though not as long as I want, but they're starting to move again, right? Does that make sense? The next one we want to look at is JP Morgan, also reported on Friday.
Yeah, I own this.
Yeah, like you see, if it broke out of this base here, and now it's starting to move, right? And this is like a really a breakout, like there's a really clean breakout week, and volume is there, right? So that's really good sign, like, you know. And now you can see, like, so that's exactly what you want to see. Once it breaks out, you want to see the 10-day now build a trajectory, and now it looks like starting to look like a 45-degree angle, and that's good. That's what you want to see. Again, Friday it reversed, but that's okay. It's just going to digest a little bit. Volume is super high on 4 days in a row, like even before the earnings. So someone is buying, let's put it that way, right? So this is good. Like, it's not the fastest mover, but who knows? Maybe, like I said, you know, that's one thing I'd like to see is, like, you know, what the trajectory of the 10-day, and now it's looking to be like more of a 45-degree angle, and that's exactly what you want to see. So now it's starting to move fast now. So we'll see. But it's looking really good. Yeah. Next one on the list that reported, United Health. This was also Friday yesterday, and it sparked a lot of health stocks to move up. This is a big move. like this has been on a downtrend for a while. Like, you know, you can see that. The one thing I like about this chart, even though it's been on a downtrend, a couple of things. One is probably easier to see on the daily chart, but you can see on the weekly chart the volume is super high. But that's like this whole week, right? The volume is super high. And then Friday, like I was even surprised that Friday's volume even eclipsed the last 2 days selling volume. But one thing I noticed, and this is very interesting, is like this low right here, 435, 445, it didn't undercut that right here, right? Despite so much selling, like you can see all this red volume, right? And then Friday, it only took Friday, 1 day of giant volume come in, and all these buyers are pushing this up like crazy. And yeah, to me, this is like a good bottom, right? Like, because it's already tested this bottom, and you know, so I did take a position. It's probably a little bit premature. You can see my trend line right here. It's probably best. It did break it a little bit, but it came back down. But it's probably better to close above it. So right now, it still have a risk of coming back down. But anyhow, I took a small position. I feel like, you know, maybe the good news are starting to roll in now. I don't know. We'll see. But this is healthcare, and the other stock I keep hearing, which I didn't pay attention to, is Lilly on Friday. So let's see here. Yeah, it has started to pull back, and yeah, this would be the trend line right now on this pullback. So we'll see. It's really short pullback so far, but it did react on the, you know, the health, just in general, the health sector react quite a bit on Friday. But but what I found the health sector is that they're still weak overall, because I find that whenever other sectors do well, they don't do well. But yesterday, because most sectors didn't do well, so therefore they did well. So it's kind of like a counter of the general market, right? Which is, you know, not good. The other stock that I was looking at in the health was Novartis, and it's on a downtrend. There's no doubt. But on Friday, it did break out of this small downtrend line, but it's still under 50, so that's the risk right here. But you know, again, this has tested the bottom a couple of times now. It did go lower this time, but it just bounced back really fast. So in 3 days, it bounced back now to the 50-day. So we'll see if it can cross the 50-day, because I think if it crosses the 50-day, so this stock is really strong. You can see the previous rally here, right? Again, this is the one that sells Ozempic, so that's the fat diet thing. So well, weight loss diet thing. Yeah, so that's potential. It can grow again. Like it has you know, really good earnings and stuff. So that's that one. Okay, so Dow also reported this week. This is the first airline that report, and this is my best performing stock right now. But the last 2 days, it has taken a big hit. It's finally pulling back. I don't know how much it will pull back, or even correct it. Like it could go as far as 50-day even. But it has dropped big on both days. So there's definitely lots of people selling. So that's not good. But because this is the best performing stock, I just cannot not, like, I just don't want to take any profit, because you know, if anything, I want to buy more, because I want to, you know, this stock has already broken out, you know, almost to new high, and I mean, it could fall back and build a big base, you know, but to me, it has already shown, you know, some sort of leadership. The volume is there. Earnings are good. I think even this report it's not bad at all. So initially it was actually up on the day, but I think, like I said, people, you can see on that day when after the report it actually hit a new high. But I think people just want to take profit, right? Because this is a very strong slope. This is like 55-60% slope, and so no stocks can run at that rate for that long. So especially when it's past 45-degree angle, they tend to correct a lot more or pull back a lot more, and that's what's happening right now. So I don't know if we'll find support at 21 or 50, but you know, I'm prepared to add more shares at either one of those support line. So that's, you know, yeah, this, you know, again, but this has to do like with the whole sector, right? Because jets, it doesn't even matter which airlines you own. I think most of them are following the same pattern. You can see jets are the whole sector, and you can see the same thing happen, all reverse. But like I said, it is quite extended from the 50 days. So like I said, it's normal to see a pullback. It's just a matter of how much does it pull back. You know, for example, we can look at other stocks too, like UAL. This is another one I own. You can see it also pull back. They all pull back, right? So it's, you know, just 2 days of shakeout. That's a significant shakeout because that took away almost 8 to 10 days of trading in the last 2 weeks. So that was shaking out a lot of people. But like I say, I don't know how far it will drop. It could drop to 50, or it could bounce right here. American Airlines, another one. Because these three are probably the best ones. Yeah, so this one, actually this one looked better than the other two, but you know, but it's still dropping. So this one only dropped to 10 days so far. But yeah, but the earnings are superb. You know, triple-digit growth. So unless something really changed, I don't know. But so far, it seems okay. The earnings report are okay, and no big, you know, no big surprise there. This is another one that report this week, and this one is just, I think we talked about this. I missed this before, but I finally got in here. It has a pullback after the earnings, but let's just look at the daily. Look at the volume, right? This is the volume that comes. It's incredible. Look at this earnings. It's just incredible. Look at up-down ratio. Look at the composite rating, fund ownership, sponsorship. You know, it's not high, but it's going up. And then this is a very small cap stock, right? So Friday after the earnings, I guess it may be not as good as people hope. It dropped all the way below 21 day, but look where it closed. It tried to come back to the 10 day, which is interesting, right? So this is also very strong performer. So I would be adding instead of selling, right? Again, obviously this all my caveat is that, hey, I believe we are still in a bull market, and so any sell off is a chance to add, right? And so yeah, so now I'm waiting for it to build another small base here or pull back or whatever, and then, you know, I'll add whenever I feel like there's a strong support. Yeah, it's just like, you know, this is like on the weekly chart, it really is strong. But again, this is a big down day. I think it dropped, like it was really big at one point, but I think it only closed down 8%. It probably did drop as much as like 12 or 13% or even more. But this is one of the best performer with so if we go to the list I have here, because I like to know, right? Like really, you know, you really want to focus on the top 100 stocks, right? Like, because there's no reason why you want to follow anything else less. So this is 45 right now, right? You know, these are the strong performers. Like JP Morgan is probably weaker. Like this is 250 right now. It's not the strongest performer, but like I said, it could pick up, right? I don't know. We'll see. What was the other two that I just like? These are the ones that reported, right? UNH is also not a big, like this one just bounced off from the bottom, so it won't even be on the list that high. Okay, DAL. Let's look at DAL. This one should be pretty high. Oops. Okay, 173. Guess it's not as high as I thought. Again, this is counts from October low. So if it did drop before, yeah, so this is the big drop before, right? So right here, this is the big drop right here. So before this run. So it's not as, you know, overall it's not the best performer, but only recently in the last 2 months it has really moved. So that's why it's not high on the list. But it's that's why it's hard, right? Because sometimes you kind of have to look at the latest data is always the most important, right? So you can't just, because this list is based on since October, so, but it's just good to know, right, what has really performed since October. You can see SMCI, right, is still the top performer. Again, this has to do with, related to the chip area, but this is more computer hardware. Like this is exactly like same chart as Oprah, except Oprah is probably more crazier because it was like very clear, right? It was like a big curve. This one is also pretty, it's getting there, but you can see the slight curve here, but it's getting there. Like a lot of people say 300 may be the top, just because it's a nice round number. So I would be cautious here to even get in. Again, don't FOMO in, because any big news come out, or like just like Oprah, a secondary offering would like easily drop this to 50-day. So and this stock has run a lot, right, since the breakout here. Yeah. So yeah, so Oprah is right here. And we already talked about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is also a strong performer. I'm just going through this list very fast right now, just so we can talk about anything that stand out this week. But we can talk about it more after. But is there any stock that you want to talk about?
Give me 1 second, I'll tell you.
Okay. While you're looking that up, I'm going to show TDW. So this one, really strong. It broke out. You can see right here, and it's moved. So now the 10-day run is starting to, you see, 45-degree angle, right? So that's every stock that once they break out, that's what you hope for. It's a 45-degree angle slope line, and that slope line is usually where the 10-day is, and that's usually where you want to just follow that line. And if you want to, there's many strategies, different strategies to put a sell stop. You could use the 10-day, you keep moving that up, or you can have a fixed percentage, whatever you want. So OII is another one that's very strong. You see, all these stocks are breaking out right now, which is very interesting, right? Because like some people, like one of the IBD guys, he's like saying, right now, TDW is probably the number one. OII is also very strong. Like these guys are moving so fast, but if you look at the like the oil price, let's go to oil price as well. It's also moving, but they're not moving. See right now oil price is right around here. It's not even at new high yet, but they're already moving so fast. And then if you look at XLE, like it's also like almost like in the middle ground of this base. But those two are obviously standing out because they're already broken out. See, they're already broken out. OII. Yeah. So something is happening, like I say. And it's just, yeah, so this is trying to break out right now. Like another one that's really strong, Slumber J. See, it's starting to break out as well. It's like very near new high. So all these stocks are showing significant strength. You can see the RS rating just moving up like crazy, right? So that's another like I find this is very surprising to most people, and I think a lot of people are underweight on energy right now, so it could give it a lot more boost, so yeah. Anyway, yeah. So what do you have in mind here?
Yeah, Airbnb, CAT, ALGM, Meli, TGLS, Enphase, Unity, and Perion.
Okay, remind me which one I missed, because I only remember some of them.
Okay, ABNB.
Yeah.
Airbnb. Let's start with Airbnb. Yeah.
Yeah, so ABNB, very strong bounce. You can see that from the bottom here. I missed this one. I'm pretty sure I missed this one. Yeah, it's a nice cup base right now. Let me just go to this. Oh, I always try to remember why I missed them. Like sometimes I miss them because like by the time I catch them is extended. Like again, my extension, when I say extended, sometimes like I'm looking from the bottom here how far it's gone up, but from the cup base, it's just starting to break out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be very important because once it break out, more buyers will come in. So yeah, looks very good. ABNB. This is a very big cup. Yeah. But the RS rating you can see straight up right now. Right, very strong, and the earnings are pretty good. So I think this one, there's not many old names that are like, I mean, right this week, right? This week a lot of old names are moving up, like especially the art type of stuff.
Catching up.
Yeah, catching up. Yeah, that. But some of these are really surprising, right? Like ABNB has moved so fast in the last since the rally has started for the tech guys, it has followed. And then there's lots of older names that didn't follow, right? But this one is one of them. Like the other one I like more is Uber. Because you can look at Uber, you can see it's already broken out of this previous recent high. And it's already near, like very close to the high now, right? It's moving there very fast. And so like this one, I like more. It also like form a very nice tight area 4 weeks here. So that's also another good sign. The problem, like when again, everything depends on where you enter, right? So but at any time, think about this in another way. Even if you already enter it, think about like when you want to sell, right? Because at some point you have to sell. Because if you don't, you might give it all back, all your gains back. So unless you really believe in the long term, right? Unless you are a very long term strategy guy, then that's different. But if you're like me or like Charles Harris, who tend to trade around a core position and take some profit, then at least sell some at some point. And so this tight area gives me confidence to either add or start. If I don't have it, I will start a new position. It gives me confidence to do that, right? Or at the minimum hold, right? So those are the difference here. So Uber, again, I'm not saying ABNB is not good. It's just relatively like this one is moving super strong right now. I missed this buy point right here, this downtrend line. I don't know how I missed it, but anyhow, again, that's the thing. You cannot buy every stock, so but this is a good one. Yeah, this is one of the stronger fundamental too. You can see right here. So, yeah. What's the next one?
Caterpillar.
Oh, Caterpillar. Yeah. So Caterpillar, yeah, I remember this stock. It's trying to break out now. It did break out from this cup with handle. This is the handle right here. So it's really nice. Right, this 3 weeks here, this 3 weeks is really noticeable of volume, and that's the good sign. And then it pulled back on the handle. You see this handle right here. It pulled back on really low volume, right? So that's a really good sign of of this stock. So yeah, Caterpillar is definitely doing well. It's doing well. Very strong. And again, this is just the handle. This is the high here, right? But it's moving nice, right? So again, we want to see the 10-day line start to slope outward. You can see this is the angle, almost 45, pretty close. So it's getting there, starting to move now. So that's really good. Yeah, this is also another really strong stock. You can see the earnings are really strong. Yeah, definitely strong. The other one that's related to this is tax. Tax is already moving ahead. It's already broken out. So this one is relatively stronger than CAT. They're both in the same group. Yeah, this, yeah, so this one just slightly ahead, just slightly, because this one already broken out. And let me see the volume here. When it breaks out, I always like to see volume. So here we go, there's volume breaking out. So now I pull back slightly on lower volume. So that's exactly what you want to see. So those are good signs. Yeah. Yeah, before I forget, like I said, depending where you buy it, like this one, you see my entry point is very low. Like so I have this screen. Okay, so this screen, hold on a second, leaders, right? So I pull all the stocks that are doing well from my portfolio, and so here I group them by sector. So you can see CAT, tax, right? So you can see tax is up. Well, CAT I entered later, but tax is up 23% because I bought it pretty early. So it's a pretty big gains, but it break out. Usually when it break out, like I said, so IBD style is very simple. You buy before it break out, or I mean during it breaks out. If you like me, more aggressive, you buy early entry point, and then once it break out, it has another chance of making another 20%, right? Usually that's what IBD guys will hope for. So this could have a way to go, and same like I said, CAT it has just broke out from the handle, so so again same thing, right? It can have a long way to go here. So yeah, industrials, these are industrials, and they definitely can continue, yeah. Okay, next one.
MELI, MELI.
Okay, so this one has taken a beating lately, right? I don't know if it bounced back or not. Let me see.
It did a little bit
On 200 day. Okay, so so I've been following this one for quite a while. Okay, so you can see I have this trend line right now up here. It broke above it, but and that's the thing, like sometimes, how do you say, on a downtrend you can always draw a downtrend line, but sometimes it will bump up like one significant day and you think, oh, it broke that downtrend line, and then you buy, and then you could get, see, that's what happened. If you bought this day, right, it's because it broke that downtrend line, what happened? It fall even faster. You see how fast it fall?
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about last time too, right? I said anytime you encounter a fake move, if it fell that fake move, it will drop significantly. And that's exactly what happened here, right? And there's nothing you can do. If you did buy on that day, like, you probably got trapped. And that's why it fall even harder, because people who trapped, they don't want to sell. And so it's unfortunate it happened. But now, okay, so now, so that's why another thing is, I just want to see where it closed on this day here. Did it close at the top? Yeah, it closed at the top, 88%. So like I said, a lot of people got trapped here if they bought on that day. Anyhow, it hit the 50-day, found resistance, right? So so that's another thing that, if it comes close to a resistance line, it's better not to buy it. Because that resistance line, like I said, like this is a good example. Like the next day, it fell apart, right? And so if you buy on this day, this is a good learning lesson. If you buy on this day, you are buying like at the 50-day, but it's still under 50-day. Like it's already at the 50-day. That's the big challenge, right? In the downtrend, they will always find resistance in the 50-day. So it's like the opposite of an uptrend, right? So because this is under 50-day, I would wait one more day to see if it passed that, right? Like I would, instead of, like, so let's say this is the first trend line, it broke above it, and then now it's at 50-day, so, or near 50-day, so you would draw another trend line like that. But because it didn't pass that, so now It fell, and now this slope line is like this now. So that's my slope line that I drew, right? So it's same thing. When you draw, like for me, I like to draw a trend line around 45-degree angle, either up or down. If it's on a downtrend, I like it to pass the 45-degree angle, usually. Sometimes it can pass it earlier, like this one is probably like 35-degree. It can pass it earlier, but again, there's more risk when it's under 45. Same thing, when you go uptrend, if past 45, there's more risk now of it breaking down. It's just natural, right? So that's why I say 45-degree angle is always the best trend. That's the easiest to follow, right? Without worrying too much about it breaking down hard. But whenever it goes either way too much, that's when you want to think about, like, maybe you don't want to get in too early, or maybe you want to get out earlier, right? Stuff like that. Okay, but Melly is not acting well right now, even though it bounced 200 day, because yes, they will find support for a few days or a week, but the question is it going to maintain? Because this 50 days it's going to start to come down hard. Right? It's going to catch up to this week here, and it's going to start to curve even more. And then is it, like, I would say the 50-day would be minimum for me to buy the stock. It has to surpass that. Yeah. Okay, next one. This is retail. Retail is pretty good. We'll talk more about that in a second. Like
TGLS.
Yeah. Let me just go into on because that's something that came in mind. So on, right? See, it built this cup base. The strength is not as strong as I hope. It's not bad, but it's not as strong. Like the volume wasn't, like, I mean, there's not much selling volume, but there's also not much buying volume. So it's okay. Like there's one day here bounce. Okay, so this day bounce, lots of volume, but you see the selling volume is very low. But I like to see, like, again, maybe it's just, again, you try to get out this cup with handle pattern here. This day it fell back down slightly, so now it's okay. Sometimes it takes one time or two times try, and now it had, at least it didn't like fall hard on volume. That's the key, right? It didn't fall hard on volume. It's looking really good. So it could break out this cup with handle pattern once more. Yeah, so that's that. TGLS, definitely the strongest stock in the building area. Look at this triple digit. This is like, and this is still a small cap, right? This is still a small cap. This is a nice, like, this is a nice 50-day slope. This is 50-day, and it's like, it's not super fast, but it's like a very steady stock, right? And I like this stock a lot. Like, it does have, volatilities. Before it was quite volatile. Right here, right here, right here, right here. But now, even here, it's quite volatile. See how fast it dropped? But that's because this is a really small cap. But the 50-day is the key. See, 50-day. It broke it once here. It broke. So this is almost like a correction here. But this run is pretty nice. So like, let's say you bought it late, 30 to 50, and then now it's breaking out again. So now it's almost 50. So, I would expect easily 20% here from here. Like, this is a nice moving stock, like steady. It's like the turtle wins the race, right? They say. But this is one of the stronger ones, definitely. Like, if I go to, I just want to check. If I go to my industrial area, so right here, so you see, TGL is 26%. Yeah, no one come close to it. TDG is also pretty strong. TDD, Trade Desk. Do you look at Trade Desk? That one has been moving fast lately. A lot of people miss this one. Yeah, see, it just broke out this week. I like this stock a lot because I don't know if they do AI or not. I haven't heard anything, but they're in advertising, right? So, but this base is super, like, this is, well, they call it tight area. It's very tight. See? Yeah, but the volume is huge this week. So yeah, it moved really fast. Look at this. It moves so fast. Like this is like 60-degree angle right now. So after this breakout, like it moves after this pullback. This was the nice tight base here. And this was the shakeout. See how it make a lower low than this? And then a lot of people were shaking out. It closed at the top of that day, and then it took off. And then the volume came in. So this is not small, 43 billion. So it's starting to get some liquidity, right? It's starting to get liquidity, and the volume, like I say, I'm surprised how much the volume has dried up. Like right here, you can see that. So this could be one of those, like, whenever you see like huge volume dry up, that's like Mark Munivini's like #1 gem. Like he looks for stocks like that with low volume dry up, because those are the ones that people just not willing to sell, and those ones can move big. You know, once they start to move, they can move big. So now we're seeing this is the last time we saw this big of a weekly range is this one. That was on earnings. See, that's on earnings. So this one is not even about earnings. I don't know if there's news or not. But it moved really big this week. I don't know. Yeah, so that one's pretty good. All right. What's next?
Enphase and Unity and Perry.
So Enphase, you can see, like one thing I can see from here is that it make a higher low from the bottom, and volume did come in this week, so that's good. The solar sector is very volatile, right? I don't know if that will continue, but this is the long-term trend line I kind of messaged you about. This is a very long-term trend line. It broke above it. You see, Thursday, Friday volume is lower, much lower than the day it went up. So that's really good sign. So it's looking really good, and it's such a long downtrend. Like, especially the longer it is, when it break above it. And this day, let me see, that was Monday, right? So Monday the volume was higher. Yeah, so I had to take a position, even though like it has a high risk of failing. But you know, whenever a long-term downtrend get broken, that's usually pretty significant. You know, even though you don't trust the stock, you have to trust the trend, and the trend is telling me I have to get in, so I did. Small position there. Again, this stock, I don't know what's going on. It has strong fundamentals, but it just keep getting hit, right? I don't know why it does that the last 6 months, but it hasn't gone anywhere. So you know, if we look at the TAN sector, like a whole solar sector, let's see what the chart looks like. So you can see they're all on a downtrend. Like, you know, not as bad as Enphase, but it's just, you know, this is still the downtrend line, right? That's the scary part. So that's the long-term downtrend. You can draw across the top. See, it hasn't passed it yet. But you know, we can look at First Solar. I did get into a lot of them. Like First Solar here, you see, this is a lower risk entry point. It broke above 50-day. To me, that's very important. It did fall on Friday, lower volume. We'll see if that's enough of a shakeout for some weak investors before it bounces. Array, I'm very disappointed at this stock. It hasn't really performed at all. Like, it just keep going down. So here's the first down line. Now is the second. You see, it didn't even try to come up, which is, it's so close to 50-day. It just couldn't. It couldn't. Like last time it fell, and then this time it couldn't even bump ahead of that. SEDG is another one that shows up. This one also very weak. Keep making lower lows, which is not good. Another one, SHLS. So like, what, like, that's the thing. When I look at some sectors, like in general, right? I think you should always look at the group, because when you want to buy a stock, if the group moves, it gives it more power to the leader in that group. But even though like none of these are moving strong, like the leader in this group is obviously First Solar, but like they just like this one is better looking because it gave back very little. It's still above this trend line. Shows this is a long base. Like this is honestly like like here it looks short, but if you draw the trend line, it's a pretty long base right now. So the whole group still looks very weak. But as I said, I did jump ahead on N phase just because N phase is just it's weird that it broke that long-term downtrend. So like it could fail still, like it's I mean on the weekly chart it doesn't broke it yet, you see. On the daily chart it did. So very interesting, right? So sometimes it's just slightly off. So it could fail, like I don't know, we'll see. What's the next one? Sorry, forgot now.
Unity.
Oh yeah, Unity has been moving. So this is one of the ARK stock that has moved recently. It broke out. The one thing I don't like is this part right here. Generally, when you build a handle, you don't want to see big weekly range, and that's what happened. The other thing you don't want to see is you don't want to see the wedging up here. The lows, you want it to go the other way. Like a handle, like actually trend downward, right? This one is actually trend upward on the low side. It's not ideal, let's put it that way, right? But the volume is there on those up weeks. You can see here. There's lots of up volume. So that's the good thing. So I think that would probably be more important than the pattern itself, just because the volume is always the key of how many buyers are coming in. Yeah, like they definitely broke out right here. So it's this is because this stock is has been basing for so long. So it's like it's starting to move now. So it's yeah. I think, like I say, I feel like so one of the things that I it's important, okay? I feel like this is very important. I think this is the difference between amateur and professionals, or even not even amateur, even like average. But professionals will take the time, like, because you have to remember this earnings coming up right in 2 weeks, and so some of these stocks, I don't care which stock, it doesn't matter. It's not Unity, it could be any stock, right? If they haven't moved much and you don't have a big cushion, you're gonna have a tough time, right? Because if, let's say, things didn't go the right way, and you're gonna get, like, you're gonna get hit hard, right? Because they already moved, like, quite a bit from the lows here. That's why when one of the things that I kind of, try to keep telling myself is make sure you don't buy too extended, right? Even if you think it's a good stock, always look for a proper pattern or some very valid tested low to add to it, right? And so, like, even let's say I don't own this, okay, number one. But number two, let's just say I'm looking at this right now. I just don't like, number one, I don't like the chart pattern, even though there's volume. I also don't like how it hasn't broken out very clearly, okay? When it's so close to the earnings, right? You're taking more risk, let's put it that way. That's all, right? But I'm not saying like the trend line is moving, is moving, because I think also the reason is the stock chart, the price chart is skewed. You see, because this chart, is only showing, like, it's all squished, right? So it's hard to tell from this chart, but it probably look better if it was expanded a little bit more. Yeah. Perry, okay. Okay, Perry. Yeah. So they came out with preliminary guidance here. So they haven't announced. They'll be announcing in 2 weeks, but they already came up with their numbers, which is interesting. And you can see it move up on that week. Let's look at the volume for a second. So the volume was there. You can see, 3 days of strong volume. Now it's pulling back, and now the volume has, dry up, right? So this is good. Every time you see that, you want to see higher volume on the buy and lower volume on the sell, and those are good pullbacks. Now it comes back to 10-day. Hopefully it'll bounce again, right? This is still in the base, so it's very early. Yeah, like I mean, generally, there's more. Like I'm not, again, same thing with Unity, right? I'm not saying it won't work. It's just there's more risk. Like this one is still in the base, hasn't broken or even come close to breaking out. These ones have higher risk of failing, but this one, the only difference with this one is that they already announced the preliminary. That's actually when I got in, right? And so I assume that what they tell me is the truth, and that shouldn't change. So they shouldn't be surprised in 2 weeks from now. That's what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you want to look at?
No, I think that is it.
Yeah. If you have time, we can still look at a few more. Where's my list here? Oops. Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at this one. So this week you can see very different. Like I mean, it has definitely improved. So last week, Thursday, Friday, it started to have more distribution, but then this week it start off, with some accumulation, and then it carry on the whole week. Right. So that's really strong. Even Friday, even though like most stocks are still up. So again, whenever you see a strong week up, I would trim, right? I would find something to trim, because I mean, if you only own a few stocks, then probably harder. But if you own more stocks like me, it's always good to find something to trim on a strong week, because if I go to RSP equal weighted, even the equal weighted are starting to move very fast, right? So you can see here, this is very strong week. So any stocks that relative strength wise are not behaving as well as the S&P. I use S&P as my base, just because, and that's what my Market Smith, the tool here, it use. So if I compare, like for example, I show you what I tried to do here. On where is it? On the earnings. So now I monitor the earnings, right? So for example, okay, so you don't have to follow what I do here, obviously, but I'm just showing my strategy here. So let's say I use IBKR. So it's reporting this week, right? And I would go through all the stocks in my portfolio, and this is one of them. So what happened this week? Well, it was down. And again, what happened to relative strength? Of course, it was down because the market was up, S&P was up, but this stock was down, right? And forget even the volume, right? Like I'm just more concerned about the price. Why did it go down? And I don't like that. Again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this chart pattern. It's just from a relative strength perspective, I need to find something to trim. And sometimes it maybe, because this week, that's my expectation. If the market is moving up so strong, 4 days out of 5 days, I expect the stock to move strong, right? And I do this during really strong up weeks. It's a very good strategy because it forces you to trim your weakest. Now, let's say, so this stock is very clear. It fell to 10-day. Well, next week, let's say I sold Monday morning, okay? And you know what? It started to bounce up. Let's say it started to bounce again. Well, you know what? You can always buy it back, right? But the problem is that if next week is a down week, and this stock couldn't, follow the market, like even worse, and it start to break down. And who knows, it could break down to 50-day before it bounces again. Like, my point is, when you're up, you need to find something to trim so that you have cash sitting around to buy when the market gives you a better buy-in price, right? So that's what you want to do, like, you know, like trading around like your core position. In my case, it's not so much trading around the core, it's more like just because I own too many stocks, so which is not, you know, you shouldn't do that. Most people shouldn't do that unless you have the time to manage them. Yeah, so I use that as a strategy, right? Like, again, this stock is pretty good. I got in around here, so, you know, have a small gain, but, you know, yeah, so I will save that. Like, I will trim this. If it does bounce, like, you see, it is very close to breakout, but I just don't like how it didn't perform this week, right? And sometimes it will turn around. Like, I give you like, this is there's many stocks, but sometimes, like, this is one. Let's see if it happens. Let me see. Yeah, this one. So here you go, right? So 3 weeks ago, you know, this one didn't close up, you know, but then I saw it, and then it did bounce back, and then I have to buy it back. Okay, this was the insurance group. A lot of them did that actually. Oh, this one, nope, can't remember the other symbol. There's another one. So sometimes that happens, and then if you like it, you can buy it back. But you know, there's a lot of risk, right? Like, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So so that's something. But yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, like, you know, for example, right? Here's the stocks I own that will report this week. So ASML, right? So you can see on my list it's 135. It's not very strong. It's up 3% right now, very little, because I bought it late. So if I go look at the chart, I just want to show you what I do. So here's an example. So but here's the thing, right? Bro, here, it didn't break out until this week. So it's one of the weaker ones, right? Again, I'm not saying it won't work. It already did break out, and volume is there. So, but you have to trim some, because it's like, how do you say? What if the earnings come out? You have to understand, I'm only up 3%, right? So, but it's not much, right? So, if you don't if you don't sell some, and let's say it fell on bad earnings, 10%, well, you just lost a lot, right? So you don't have much cushion, you know. It's always good to take profit, you know. We already talked about SLB, you know, UAL Airlines, we already talked about that. How is also like SLB, doing pretty good, up, you know. So this is on a nice uptrend, you know. So again, this is called like, sometimes, like, you know, like this one, of course I don't have to trim, I'll just let it continue to run. But if the earnings for some reason was unexpected, you know, then all of a sudden I can lose back all my gains, right? So it's better to take some off the table, not a lot, like even if you trim 10-20% or whatever, like just trim a little bit, you know. I always like to have at least 10% cash to be able to add back some, at least 10%. So that's, you know, a good strategy. Yeah, and then if they're like, the other thing, like, I like to do, like I just said, is like go through your portfolio on the up week like this, like IBKR this week, right? It shouldn't be down. So, you know, it's weird that it's down, right? So, you know, again, I'm not saying it won't, like, because it did go up 2 strong weeks, so it's okay. Maybe it did take a pause here, but I just don't like how the relative strength, you see, is going down, right? I don't like that. When the market is going out, it should be following the market. If I look at, just to give you a quick example, if I go back to my portfolio here, look at the leaders, and like JP Morgan, where I saw is going up. There's not many leaders in the financial group right now, but SQ, Futu Hood is a few that I own. So let's go to SQ. So Square, again, this is another name that's kind of like archetype, like Unity, the old names, right? They're slow to come back up, but they are moving. Again, maybe I'm a little bit hypocrite, because like Unity is similar to this, but so here's the base here, and it trade really tight here. That was the thing that caught my attention, and then it broke out. above this little tightness area. It's still within the base, so it's I don't like it because it's still in the base, but yeah, anyhow, this is the financial is probably very weak right now, still, but it's starting to move. See, the 10-day is starting to do 45-degree angle. So what I was trying to say, okay, so come back to weekly chart again. I'm looking at only from a weekly perspective. So where did it close? It closed strong, right? This is exactly what you expect this week. Any stock you hold should follow the market. So so you should continue to hold this stock, you know. But any stocks that have any sort of weakness this week on a strong up week, that doesn't make any sense, right? That's when you have the R. This R is going up even faster right now. That's what you want to see. Because let's just say, typically what happens is that after a strong week, next week will be like a digestion week. So some stocks can come down, right? So so then the ones that are already acting weak this week could even go further down next week if the market doesn't do well. So that's why I would rather trim some, like, and then you know, yeah. So that's kind of like, you know, trading a little bit in and out here. So yeah, all these names are pretty like Hood, Robinhood, like, you know, see, like these are all the old names, right? Yeah, Unity, they're starting to move now. Yeah, really strong. I mean, so this is again another big strong week right here. What's the last one? Oh, Futu, that's the Chinese one. I didn't even know I owned that one. I don't remember. Oh, I bought it quite a few weeks ago. So this one also same thing. Yeah, this one looks like, yeah, this one is interesting because they broke this nice trend line here. Okay, pretty clear. So that's really nice. This is you know, the difference is this one is actually like have positive earnings. Yeah. So yeah, let's go through the, like, I'm gonna spend a lot of time having to comb through my portfolio this week to see which one have poor relative strength. But my goal is, because I own too many stocks right now, so as these quarters get reported, my goal is to trim some of the weak ones and then move the money towards the strong ones eventually, right? And so these are the, like, MSTR. Do you follow the Bitcoin stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, so these guys are running like crazy right now. MicroStrategy.
Yeah, all Bitcoins related stuff, all mining stuff.
Yeah, like Mara. I don't have Mara. I missed that one. It's also doing really strong.
I have HUT, HUT.
HUT. Yeah, look at that. Really strong. This is really strong. Wow. Good for you. Yeah, so those are doing really well. I'm just looking at what's on my list here that's doing well. Yeah, I miss a lot of the good stocks just on the tech side. So just so you know, LGM is doing really well. This is one of the ones that have corrected. Now is at new high, right? So this is really strong. So usually when they break out, like usually 20% is like minimum. Yeah, so that's pretty strong. This is retail related. We already talked about on MGM. This is interesting because MGM is a casino stock, and this one moved really hard this week. See? And then, but if you look at Las Vegas Sands, which I also own, it's still at the bottom of the base. It's finally moving, but it's just it's like it's finally coming out, like trying to build the right side of the base finally, because they make a new high in recent weeks. So it's starting to move. The casino stock's starting to move again. So that's a good sign. Ollie Miniso forward. So this is the airlines. So we already talked about that. And then industrial, we already talked about TGLS. Yeah. And then this is the, okay, so health stocks, IMMD. So this is the top one on my list. I miss a lot of health stocks too. So, but this one also started to move this week. This just broke out. Really high volume. I'm not sure if there's some news. There could be some news. And then the other one that I really hesitate and I didn't get into was Amphastar, AMPH. Now it's doing a really small digestion here. This is almost picture perfect. This reminds me of SMCI, right? Because it just doesn't want to come down. You look at the 10 day, see 10 day, obey 10 day, 10 day, 10 day, 10 day, and then when the 21 day came close, it won't even touch it. This is exactly like SMCI. Go back to SMCI, almost the same. See, goes out to 10 day, and then come to 10, 21. This one touched 21 day, but still, and then it took off again, right? So it reminds me a lot of that. So you know, this is digesting right now. So there's one lower low now. So this is digesting. I'll probably, you know, if it digests one more week, I'll probably definitely take a position on this one. This one is definitely a superstar. So yeah, the health area hasn't moved as much as most people think, but it's starting again. That's interesting. So anyhow, we'll talk about Caterpillar. We're going to talk about TDW, how OII, SLB. Those are all the oil field service. I don't know why they're so strong right now, but it's very interesting. Weatherford also doing well. So we already talked about that. Yeah, pretty much we have talked about most of the. There's lots, right? Like if I go to this week, I just want to show you the week's action of all the high vol. Like you can see, like ACR is bouncing. We already talked about AEHR bouncing. Like all the bouncing ones are just moving really fast now. Yeah, the one stock that is it on here? No, it's not on here. It's Dropbox. It's crazy. Dropbox. I don't know how I missed this one. I think I own it and I might have sold it. That's what happened, I think. Look at this.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 upwards in a row. No one even talk about it. I don't even hear one person on CNBC talk about this stuff.
Wow.
Right? Everyone talks about MDB, Mongo, but no one talks about Dropbox. Everyone talks about this one, but no one. It's not. This is a good start. Don't get me wrong. Look at how tight this is. This is tight. Oh my god. This is like SMCI tight. Again, 10 day. Finally, the 21 day comes out. Look at this bounce of the 21. That is strength. Although the volume is not there, but still, it's just no one wants. Look at this volume. This is like drying up, right? So once it dries up and it moves, it's gonna move hard. And the one thing I like about MongoDB is it already reported recently, so you don't have to deal with like any risks on the earnings, right? So that's another good thing about this. Because going into earnings, you're always taking some risk, and so that's why for me, I always prefer trimming that a little bit. Even though, you know, yeah, it could go up a lot, but you know, and then you will buy at a higher price if you want to add more. But hey, that doesn't always happen, right? So, what was I looking at again? Shit, forgot now. Oh yeah, this list right here. So these are all the tech stocks, like Salesforce doing well, DDOG. A lot of people talking about DT this week. Yeah, see, actually a lot of tech stocks this week came out of a small flat base. Like I said, some of them 4 weeks only, but this one is actually 5 weeks. So came out on this one. A lot of people talk about Dynatrace. Salesforce for sure, same thing. Look at this, right? Came out of this tightness, broke out. So this is in a flat base, super flat, 9%. That's as flat as you can get on the 5 week base. So a lot of tech stocks moving. Like, in fact, I think tech stocks have, it's almost like now going for a second run, if you know what I mean, right? So I missed DV, double verify. That's also another good stock. Look at this. Just it did reverse a bit this week, but still a very strong stock. Yeah, there's so many tech, right? FTNT, Hubs, Mobileye. I find Mobileye is interesting. A lot of people are starting to doubt this stock, which is interesting from a psychology point of view, because it just couldn't move. You see, it just built this base, and then now built another base. I took a position here. It could fail, but just so many people are starting to give up on this stock. So I don't know, man. We'll see if it will actually finally break out right here. I think if it breaks out, it's gonna move big this time. Just like, it's kind of like SMCI. It tries so many times, and then once it finally break out, it could work. So I don't know. I just keep hearing a lot of people on IBD giving up on that stock, because everyone thought it was superstar, but it just couldn't happen. Monday also I think also same thing, break out of a, yeah, there you go. Well, it hasn't broke out yet, but it's rebounding right now. You can see this nice small little base here. It hasn't really made new high yet, but it's starting to. Cloudflare, Perry we talk about, PRFT, PTC, Ring, Snow, same thing. Snow is an older name, also starting to move. Snowflake. Okay, there you go. A very small. Oops, what's wrong with the screen? Okay, so it's very like this one is definitely more volatile. You can see the weekly range a little bit more volatile. Again, it hasn't broke out yet, but it's starting to move up. I don't know if it will fail or not. The good thing about tight base is your entry point is low risk, right? Like, because the low is not that far away. Whereas if you buy within the base, that's why IBD don't recommend buying within the base, because where will you put your stop? You know, you don't have a, like, your low would be here minimum, or you can put a higher low here. You have a lot of risk. That's like easily over 10, 12, 15%, right? Stop. So, but a tight base gives you a much less risk, right? On a beta stock, because these stocks can move fast, but so you're risking 7-8% for 20-25%, right? So it's a good risk reward ratio. So anyhow, that's the reason why I got into this. Again, it could fail. It could fail. Like it's very
I have Snow.
You have Snow? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Snow.
Yeah, but I have from long term, so long time.
Oh, you have it for a long time. Yeah, it hasn't done much until recently. SNPS, VMW is very surprising to me. Like, I was actually shocked it's doing well. Look at this, right? Like, no one talks about this either. But look at this volume. Look at this. I didn't even know I owned it. I must have bought it when it breaking out, like right here. Like, this is not a typical base. But one thing, let me just see on the daily chart. Usually I draw some trend line. Yeah, so this is what they call ascending base. So it will form like like a base and base, like a little pullbacks. It's very rare. Again, this usually only happens when the market is really strong. Instead of like building, a high on the left side and then a right on, and then breakout on the right side, what it does is it just bounce off the 10-day little bit, bounce on the 10-day little bit, and then boom, it just, so this is like the base right here. And then it just break out, right? Like really hard. So I got lucky there. But yeah, I don't usually buy ascending base either. But I don't remember. There's something something happened that made me buy it. Okay, so that was that. Yeah. So on the retail side, we already talked about Airbnb. A lot of people talk about Cava. It's one of the new restaurants IPO. It's still very early. You see it already broke out of this IPO base here, really tight. like it's not tight. I mean, like it's already broke out. It's volatile. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know. It's catching a lot of attention. I think that's the thing, right? In the bull market, when you have IPOs, they tend to attract more attention because hey, it's new stock, and people like IPOs in the bull market. It doesn't make money though. That's the only thing. So it's not on my list. Yeah. But people are watching it. Like, so here's the base here. Pull back, break out, and then pull back. So, but IPOs tend to give you high reward too, right? So it's a high beta. So, DraftKings. Some people are talking about it, not too many, but there is. It's finally, look at this nice base here, sideways. Like it took many weeks, man. Like if you have the patience, and then when it broke out, it finally did. So, yeah, it's pretty good stock. DraftKings. Let's see if there's anything. Lulu is finally bouncing. It was building a base. A lot of the retail stocks, that's what happened. That's why, they're all building this base right now. And you can see right now it's trying to break out soon. It's getting tighter. You can see how tight it is now on the weekly chart. You go to daily. See, super tight, really tight. This is what Mark Mimini, like he specialized in this, right? It's called volume contraction pattern. So as the price contract in volatility, and then you see this is, oh my god, this is perfect. Look at this, the volume contracted. So as the base building, it gets tighter and tighter from high to low, and then the volume starts to go lower and lower. There you go. Once it breaks out, it's gonna move fast because there's nobody who wants to sell this stock anymore. So it can move really fast after this. But this is a long base. Oh my god, this is long. So Lulu, yeah, it hasn't done much, but hey, who knows? Yeah, so there's just so many good, so that's one thing I noticed, right? Like from June to now, this is middle of July now, so almost 6 weeks. Like I just couldn't believe how much the market breadth had expanded, and it's still expanding. Like I said, like oil is just finally starting to take off again. It's still not even full blown. Like I don't know, it's a good thing or a bad thing, because if oil price keep going up, it's not a good thing over long term. Industrial, has already expanded. Health hasn't so far, and financial hasn't. Those two are the weakest one. And I don't know if financial will. It could. We'll see how the regional banks do. That could be another catalyst for this coming weeks, right? If those guys do well, the market will get more bullish, Yeah. Yeah, like even this week, industrial, like NSSC, finally, building a long base, finally, move again. Here, this is a rebound right here. Couldn't break out this base. Now it's bouncing again. So it's like I said, they're not as strong as the techs for sure. The techs are still the ones that are high beta, move a lot. Yeah. That's pretty much it, man.